Hey y'all, it's Holly. So you may see two different versions of the thumbnail for this review. It all depends if YouTube allows even just a little bit of this, but we'll see. May not even allow the whole video because of that. Who knows? But on to five, which I have talked about. I have mentioned that I really like five. Five is probably my favorite of the series. It's not, I would say, the best one. That is four. But five is my favorite. I have said in the past that like I do really like the idea of legacy characters, legacy stuff, and people using the idea of the killer and like the mythos for their own purposes, however it is. Um, I feel like some every series should have done that at some point, if possible. Like Nightmare, a little hard. Understandable. Chucky, I mean, they could have had a whole movie just with Tiffany, which I actually probably be fine. Like it was Tiffany or Glenn slash Glinda, and no Chucky. They just use his vibe. That'd have been interesting. Scream does it all the goddamn time. Fine. Halloween, I tried to do it with Halloween Ends, and I personally love Halloween Ends for that reason. Um, Also, Halloween Ends does kind of feel like Jason Goes to Hell too. Is kind of a weird thing, but we'll get to that. But either way, let's talk about part five. One, my favorite mask besides the NES one. I don't know. I think just the blue works really well, and of course the NES one just looks amazing. But I like the idea of Roy. Like this one hits on different levels of why I like five so much. Is one, naturally, Roy is a very sympathetic killer. He saw his son get killed. He's just getting revenge on the kids who just stood by and kind of lost his mind a bit. It is very much like Mrs. Voorhees in the first one, but they kind of, since they show it a bit more, it hits a bit more. Um, and plus, he's using the legacy, the fear of Jason for his advantage on that. I do really like that. His death in particular is fun at the end, like with the pitchfork coming through him. Um, if I had to pick a notable kill from this one, it probably is the outhouse, I guess. Like I would probably say the outhouse is probably the one from this one, I would say. Only because just the ridiculousness of it. But the other fun thing about this one is Tommy. You get to see the effects that this has on, like, Four had on him. You see that he's dealing with the PTSD. You see that he's dealing with the fear of, like, he may be Jason. Like, he's afraid that he would become that. So, like, you get a bit of that, too. And that's very interesting. They kind of continue that in six, but not as heavy. There's a large psychological aspect with five that I find just very fascinating because that hardly ever explored again. Um, and I think because of that, this one does feel unique. It has that like callback to one, really incorporating like the aspects of four. Like what would that do to a kid? Really incorporating that into it, and like you wouldn't expect that from a the fifth movie in a slasher series, you know? Especially when it's just more boobs and blood. Like it would just wouldn't you wouldn't find that. Like you'd find that a bit in Nightmare on Elm Street, especially three, and like some of the later ones, but like especially three, or like Halloween dips its toes in it a few times with varying qualities. And the Scream series does, but the Scream series is way after all of these, so this is its own thing. But for the time, this was a unique move. And like I said, like if you watch my review of one, two, and three, I feel like the fan reaction to five would have been better received if Jason wasn't the immediate killer in the second one. Like maybe not even in the third one. Like if they held back and he wasn't right then, maybe it would have worked better. Granted, who knows? Because they kind of did that with Halloween 3, and that one took a long time for people to like it. And I think a lot of fans do kind of like 5. Like, 5 has increased, like, even since then when I was, like, little, like high school and stuff, like, the fan general consensus for 5 has increased and gotten better over the years. Like even when I was like just getting into horror, like really high school and early college years for me, like 2011 thereabout, it still was kind of derided. It's like, it's not the best one, it's not the worst one, it's low tier. It's like it's the best of the worst. Which I don't think that's the case. Like I do put this like in terms of interestingness and stuff. I do kind of put this at number one. Four does have the quality of really good characters, like insanely, really well written characters, and like that you don't want really see any of them die, kind of thing. And that four is really good, but those two, like 4 and 5, are probably my favorite two. Like they're the best two, in my opinion. But um, what 5 does, like I said, is so interesting. Is like the legacy, like Roy using it for his own purposes, and ironically doing it very similar to what Mrs. Voorhees did without him knowing, because no one really knew it was like Mrs. Voorhees' part. They all just attributed Jason. Um, and then Tommy's turmoil of like, is he going crazy? Is he seeing Jason? Is he is he becoming Jason? That whole thing is incredibly interesting. Um, and I think, yeah, a lot of fans are like looking back at it and saying, like, yeah, this stuff was unique. This stuff was a good, interesting take. And then we get into Zombie Jason and blah, 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 blah. Like, if they kept the same psychological, very interesting way of doing things with 6, 7, and 8 and stuff, who knows where the series would have been? Like, if, because, like, they could have had the series still be psychological and still be slashery, and it could have worked around the MPAA cutting the other ones, the later ones, to hell. Um, because that really did hurt 6, 7, and 8 a lot. But like, imagine if 6 really focused in on Tommy. Like Tommy was in there, but he wasn't like in there. Like, I don't know. Things probably would have been different, but that's a topic for another time. Either way, 5 5 is one of the first ones that I really saw. Like I like I said, I'd seen 1 a lot, but 5 is the one that I saw like really on TV. Like AMC Fright Fest really did a lot, and 5 was the one I saw pretty much the most. So it's a bit of nostalgia, a bit of like the thing that got me into the series really was 5. Um, but yeah, I really like 5.